By the early 1960s, Pakistani army officers had been training in the United States and Britain. They'd also conducted joint military exercises with both countries. Pakistan had completely modernized its armed forces with new equipment from the United States, including hundreds of state-of-the-art pattern tanks. Pakistan had also signed a treaty of military cooperation with China, so it was well prepared to wage a war.
In Pakistan, even as its troops and armor were invading India, Ayub Khan declared in a radio broadcast that the threat of war in Kashmir was being forced on them.
भारतीय हुक्मरान शुरू से पाकिस्तान की वजूद से नफरत करते रहे हैं और मुसलमानों की इरादा आजाद मुमलिकत को उन्होंने कभी दिल से तस्लीम ही नहीं किया।
Over the next 4 days, Pakistan continued with its offensive inside India. Indian army units, though outnumbered and outgunned, put up a brave fight. The Indian Air Force kept harassing the Pakistani forward positions from the air. Then, on September 2nd, 1965, the Pakistani Air Force also joined the battle over Cham.
7:30 in the morning, the Pathankot squadron, 23 squadron, my brother's squadron, got a warning from the radar station that 4 Sabre jets have got airborne and they're heading for the Cham sector.
On September the 3rd, squadron leader Trevor Keeler led a formation of Nat fighters against the intruding Pakistani F-86 Sabre fighters supplied by the Americans. As the air combat between IAF Nats and PAF Sabres began, F-104 starfighters of Pakistan appeared on the scene, tilting the balance in favor of Pakistan. But in spite of being heavily outnumbered, squadron leader Keeler went after a Sabre jet and shot it down.
It happened around about 8:30 in the morning. So it was a very historical event for us and especially for my brother also. And Pakistan, of course, were extremely upset about it because the hype of the press was so intense after the aircraft was shot down. It was challenging their invincibility.
By 5th September, the Pakistani armor had only managed to penetrate 29 kilometers inside India. But they had reached Joria, a village just 9.5 kilometers from the road junction of Akhnur.
In April that year, when the Pakistan army rolled their tanks into the Rann of Kutch, Indian defense planners realized that Pakistan was launching offensives in a terrain advantageous to them. On their side of Kashmir, they had better roads and a sound communication infrastructure. In Kutch, Pakistan army installations were right next door in Sindh, while the Indian army had to traverse vast salt plains to reach the border. So a plan was made secretly on how and where to attack Pakistan to render them at a strategic disadvantage. This top-secret plan was codenamed Operation Riddle.
General Chaudhry sought permission to launch Operation Riddle, but that meant an invasion of Pakistan. Lal Bahadur Shastri's reply was cryptic: cross it. Before dawn on 6th September, India launched a 3-pronged offensive against Lahore along an 80-kilometer front. From the northeast across the river Ravi, along the Amritsar-Lahore road at Wagha, and from the southeast, attacking the Pakistani town of Kasur. 2 days later, on September 8th, India opened another front targeting Sialkot, 24 kilometers across the border. The same day, 800 kilometers south of Lahore, India opened a third front by attacking and occupying the town of Gadra in Sindh. Pakistan suddenly found itself fighting more battles on more fronts than it had planned for. The Pakistani plan of cutting off Kashmir remained unachieved. as Ayub Khan had to pull out his troops from the Cham sector to defend Sialkot and Lahore.
Pakistan made plans to counter India's Lahore offensive by launching a massive attack aimed at capturing Amritsar. Pakistan's elite 1st Armoured Division was to drive hundreds of tanks through Khemkaran for the assault on Amritsar. A decisive battle was fought 60 kilometers southwest of Amritsar at Asal Uttar, thereafter known as Patan Nagar.
Pakistan's pride, the 1st Armoured Division, pushed its offensive towards Khemkaran with the intention of capturing Amritsar and controlling the bridge over River Beas that led to Jalandhar. But there were delays in the Pakistan attack, and they got bogged down in crossing the Rohi Nala. By 10 September, the Indian Army had fortified the area and was poised to meet the attack. 3 Indian tank regiments had taken up a horseshoe position, while other forces blocked the flanks. Trenches had been dug, and gun positions and weapons pits had been well camouflaged by cotton and sugarcane fields. 106mm recoilless guns were also deployed on the Khemkaran-Amritsar road. Into this valley of death came the Pakistani tanks to meet their doom. Company Quartermaster Master Abdul Hamid of India's 4th Grenadiers was the best 106mm recoilless gun shooter in the battalion. On 10 September, when Pakistani tanks came upon the 4th Grenadier positions, Havaldar Abdul Hamid led his detachment in shooting down one tank after another. Havaldar Hamid himself, in total disregard of his own safety, destroyed 3 Patton tanks. Firing from his jeep-mounted RCL gun, driving right through the attacking tanks. As he was firing on a 4th tank, the Pakistanis spotted him and concentrated their fire on the brave Indian soldier. Havaldar Abdul Hamid was posthumously awarded the Paramveer Chakra, the highest gallantry award in India.
Pakistan's 1st Armoured Division never made it past Khemkaran. By the end of September 10th, the elite division had been demolished in the battlefield of Asal Uttar, more than symbolically meaning the real answer. More than 100 Pakistani tanks, most of them the latest Patton tanks from the US, had been destroyed or captured by India. On the other hand, India lost only 12 of its own aging Sherman and Centurion tanks. Asal Uttar forced Ayub Khan to cut his losses at Khemkaran and to withdraw his armoured division to reinforce Lahore and Sialkot, where the armies had been locked in combat since the 6th of September.
As there was no natural boundary between India and Pakistan at Lahore, Pakistan had constructed the 75-kilometer-long BRP, or the Bambanwala-Ravi-Bedian Link Canal, as protection. The 3-pronged Indian attack at Lahore, led by the 11th Corps, had been told to take control of this BRB canal, also known as the Ichhogil Canal. The brick-lined canal was 112 feet wide, 30 feet deep, with a depth of 20 feet of fast-flowing water. It ran parallel to the border, 8 kilometers inside Pakistan, and the West Bank had been lined with concrete pillboxes. The first attempts by Indian forces to cross Ichhogil Canal had not succeeded. Later attempts saw some units cross over, but no firm foothold could be maintained on the West Bank by the Indians. When Indian soldiers occupied a village just east of Lahore, it brought the Indian army within range of Lahore International Airport. Pakistan's counterattack across the canal could not dislodge the Indians from the East Bank. And that's how the positions remained for the rest of the war.
Aim was to make a thrust towards Lahore and in Sialkot sector, mainly to relieve pressure from Cham sector and in the mountain Punch, etc., that area. That was the idea. So there was never any aim to capture Lahore.
In the Sialkot sector, tank battles raged for 12 days between India and Pakistan, which no one won.
Over a period of 3 weeks, the head-on battles between the armored formations in the Sialkot sector, the ding-dong battles across the Ichogel Canal, and a smaller offensive in Rajasthan created a virtual stalemate.
The Soviet Union brokered a ceasefire in Tashkent, where Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri and Pakistani President Ayub Khan met over 6 days to thrash out an agreement. At the Senate House in Uzbekistan on 10th of January 1966, at 4:30 p.m., the Tashkent Declaration was signed to usher an era of peace between India and Pakistan. Nine hours later, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, who had suffered 2 heart attacks earlier, died in Tashkent at 1:32 a.m.
The Tashkent Declaration was full of promises, but finally achieved nothing. Prime Minister Shastri died there. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Ayub Khan had a huge falling out and turned bitter enemies. By 1969, Ayub was out of power. By 1979, Bhutto had been hanged. And 5 years after Tashkent, India and Pakistan were once again at war. Till we meet again on the battlefield of another war, this is Kabir Bedi saying goodbye on this episode of Guns and Glory.